Well, hello once again, fellow flight simmers and cockpit builders. Welcome to another one of my short videos on answering questions. And I know it's been a while since I released the last video, but don't worry, the channel's not dead yet. So the reason why I've sustained myself from recording videos lately is because, as many of you are aware, the website has been changing a lot, and the configurator, especially the custom configurator, the custom assignments. So there's been a lot of things that I wanted to show, but when I go to the website, this is not working or that's not working right now, and so that's the reason why I just said, you know what, I better just hold off because who knows how it's gonna end up, when all this is done. So I think it's just better to wait a little bit and wait until the dust settles, and then I can actually show what it's looking like. But just in case that I do need to show anything today, which I think I will. This is the way the website looked on June 5th of 2021, and if I do need to end up being into the cockpit and using the configurator or the plugin, I think I'm currently using version 1.0.76. So once again, remember, this is just my opinion of these things. This is the way I understand it, so I may say something wrong in the process, but the whole point of these videos is to try to help clear up some of the questions that some of you guys have. So we're gonna go ahead and go over to my YouTube page here, and we're gonna read this question from Jolo because he had a couple of concerns. And so he says, hopefully you can answer. On the HIXI website, if you click on custom planes, you will see a page referring to the custom aircraft data conversion, which is downloads. From that page, you can click on an explain data structure link. They do not tell exactly what this does. Can you show an example of how this can be useful in allowing additional explain data refs to be available or displayed using the existing hardware structure? I would like to be able to display on several LCDs the explain data refs that they fail to provide access to from their configurator. Maybe this is not the intended purpose of this converter. It would be so much easier for all if they allowed the capability to display data refs that all explain users are most familiar. Instead of searching through their confusing instrument pictures, they should have started providing the capability at a minimum first as a selling point before providing specific complicated instruments that I believe most will not pay to build. Please comment if you can. Alright, so this this comment has a lot of different parts to it. So I'm going to go ahead and go over to the website first, and I'm going to show you what he's talking about. So basically, when you come to the home page here, you notice that you can go to the configurator from here, but you can also go to the conversion, and I believe this is what he's talking about. So when you go here, you see this is where you can download the different configuration files that some people have contributed to assign the custom data refs and commands that these airplanes use. I am the one who did the one for the Cessna 172, but right now it's not working. So if you go to the link, you can see all the parameters that I changed to custom commands or data refs. But when you try to download the conversion, right now all it does is take you back to the home page, or to the, yeah, it is a home page, I guess. So you are not able to download my data conversion file. But anyways, the whole point of his question was the explain data structure. So basically what this is, this is basically just trying to explain, and actually I disagree with your comment that you said they do not explain how this is used. I think actually they explain it really well. This is the way that custom data refs and commands, well, actually this is talking more about the built-in ones for laminar research, default data refs and commands. And it's basically explaining to you how they are laid out, like where you would find like commands or data refs related to the cockpit buttons and switches, how you would find the ones related to other things, like the environment variables or whatever. So I think that they did a really good job of explaining all of this. I think that if you read it, I didn't know anything about custom data refs and commands before I started using SimVim Cockpit at the time, which is now HIXI. And everything that I learned about custom data refs and commands, I learned it through reading their website. So I think that they did a very good job of that. And it just tells you basically, if you want to assign custom data ref for command, this is what you need to do. This is how you're gonna work with it to make it do a command, or if it's a writable data ref, or because there's a lot of data refs that are not writable, and there's a lot of data refs that when you use them, they're usually only used to display something, like your airspeed or your heading or whatever. So it's just a as the name says, is data, that you can use to output. But the basic promise of this is that if you are advanced enough to know about custom data refs and commands, then you will have a need for this. But if you are just using the default laminar research airplanes, which I think probably 90% of us don't use, maybe even more, you don't really need to know this if you are only using the laminar airplanes, because everything should work, just with the configuration files that they provide inside the plugin, and everything should already work. But if you are advanced enough to need them, then you are going to have to know how to work with them. And I've talked about before, on some of my videos, this one right here, which was June 11th of 2020. This is an updated one that I had done, because I think the first one I did was in January of 2020. It was the first one I did about custom data refs or commands, but then things changed so drastically that I had to, this is some of the videos that they asked me to remove, because the process was so different now that it was confusing people. So I did remove those two videos from my library here. So, but this one here, January 11th, 2020, it works pretty similar, I think, to what it's gonna work like now when they finish updating the website. The only difference is that when we get finally the custom, which I'm gonna talk about a little bit later, I think that is not the custom, but the custom parameters that we're gonna be able to create ourselves. I'm gonna talk a little bit more about that at the end. So this is the one about custom commands, and then on June 18th of 2020, I did this one, which is an updated custom data refs in SimVim Cockpit, which is now obviously HXIE. So some of the things are obviously going to be different when this is finalized, the whole changing of the website and everything. But I think that the basics, understanding how to look for the data refs and how to put them into the configurator, the new custom configurator that eventually we'll get, I think a lot of the basics will still work for you. Okay, so he also says he would like to be able to display on several LCD displays explain data refs that they fail to provide in their configurator. Maybe this is not the intended purpose of the converter. You are right. The converter is only for parameters that do not work with the standard explain data refs and commands. So if you want, let's say for example, you have a landing gear switch, that to lower and raise the landing gear, and if you assign that to an airplane, let's say that I assign it to my Mooney from Alabeo, and it doesn't raise or lower the landing gear, then that means probably that airplane uses a custom data ref or command in order to do that, and I would need to change the command behind the parameter for that. And once again, if you watch those two videos that I'm going to put the links to down below, you'll understand what I'm talking about more. But basically is, that's when you would use custom data refs and commands. But if everything works, and I'll be honest with you, a lot of the stuff does work. Like I have a lot of switches that I can use with a Boeing 737, the Zeebo. I can use with my Mooney, I can use with helicopters, I can use with my Viper jet, and they all work. There's a lot of things that work straight out of the box, so you never even have to mess with the custom commands or data refs. But for those things that do, that's when I think that this comes in handy to be able to assign custom data refs and commands. So hopefully that cleared it up a little bit for you. Now let me see what the next part is here. All right, so he says it would be so much easier for all if they allow the capability to display data refs that all X-Plane users are most familiar with, instead of searching through their confusing instrument pictures. Now, Jolo, right here, I completely, totally disagree with you on this one, because part of the reason that one of the things we liked a lot about this project is that when you go to the configurator and you go to, for example, the flight instruments, that's one of the beauties of this program, of this plugin, is that you don't need to know, unless you have the custom payware aircraft that use custom data refs and commands once again, but you don't need to know about um, commands and data refs and all that. All you need to do is click on what you want, assign it wherever you want it, and boom, you're done. That's the beauty of this project, is that you don't need to learn coding. You don't need to learn, um, all those cryptic, data refs and commands. And one of the things that, that makes this so different is precisely that is just a point and click. Now, they cannot include every possible data ref and command for every single airplane that's out there. That would be a list probably about 20,000 or 30,000 lines long, of different commands and data refs. That's the reason why it's so cool that if I want to say I want to do my altitude indicator, boom, it works with every single airplane. It doesn't matter what the command or data ref is. Now, one of the things that has been mentioned many times is that it's really bad that all the developers feel the need to use their own data refs and commands, but there's nothing we can do about that. It's their fault that they're not using the standard Lemon or research ones. X-Plane already has data refs and commands for pretty much anything any aircraft can do or display. So all these developers that are always using all these different data refs and commands, they're the ones that are making it difficult for us and for developers like Vlad and Roman that are doing this. If they would just stick to the default ones, life would be so much easier. But that's not Vlad and Roman's fault. That's the developers that are causing this headache that we're currently dealing with here. And so the pictures, like it's so easy. Instead of having to know, oh, what is the data ref or the command, to put the transponder on standby or on altitude. You don't need to know what the data ref or command is. All you need to do is click on, I want this button right here to do altitude, or well, this is actually the light. So I want a little light that shows the altitude, and I'm gonna put this one right here, and you're done. It doesn't matter what the data ref or command is. Once again, like I said. So I really think that when they started off with coming out with these pictures and that you can just click on what you want to assign and put it on a pin on the Arduino or on the MUX board. And I think that was one of the greatest things, and I keep saying it over and over again, that this is by far the easiest program there is to use in order to build a home cockpit. And I keep repeating it because I think this is one of the things that actually sets it apart. Now, I hate to say this, but I mean, if you really, really want the flexibility, like a lot of people have told me when I was complaining about custom data refs and commands, maybe the best thing for you would be like MobiFlight or even Air Manager or something else. But the reason that I haven't went over to those is because I really do like the format of this one here. And I have no intentions of going to one of those other platforms, right now at least. Who knows what will happen in the future, but not right now. So that's kind of cool. Now, I wanted to actually mention something else before we go any further. Okay, so I kind of mentioned it earlier that when you go to the custom files that people have created, like me, that I created the Cessna 172 airfoil labs, right now you are not able to download the DAT file, which is the file that would tell SimVim or X-Plane, when you click on this button, do this, because it's different than the default ones. So, but eventually it'll be up and it'll work, So that's what the DAT file is. It contains all the conversions that people have already provided. So all of these airplanes that you see right here, somebody already went in and they changed a bunch of the different commands and data refs so that they can work with these custom airplanes. So, the people who do these kind of things, they dedicate a lot of time and everything to help create these databases, so that when let's say I do have the airfoil, well, actually I do have it, I just got it, the King Air Airfoil Labs King Air 350, instead of me having to go and change all the different parameters, because they are custom data refs and commands, all I need to do now is I need to just click on here, download the conversion, but not right now, you know, when it works. and that's it. Then if I have assigned all those buttons and switches, if I have assigned them, you know, with these parameters, then they would work with the King Air 350 from Airfoil Labs. That's the beauty of this, is that once other people do the work, then anybody can just go in and download them, and boom, everything is working as it should. That is if you use these parameters here for the intended functions. You know, obviously if you don't have a, let's say you don't have a beacon light switch, then it doesn't matter because it won't do anything. You know, if you don't have that, it just won't use it. But if you do use it, then boom, it's already going to work because somebody already took the time to do the conversion. Now right here I noticed right away that, I'm not sure why, but there's 2 beacon lights, so he just probably made a mistake and assigned it again. But yeah, so that's what that's all about. I'm not going to talk about right now the single greatest thing that I think is coming to this plugin, which is the personal conversion. And this right here is where you can create your own file, and right now it doesn't work, you know, so I'm not even going to show it right now because I would just be doing it a disservice. Now I don't know if you guys remember, but when we were having that back and forth on my YouTube channel, you know, where Vlad was coming in and commenting on a lot of the comments that were said, one of the things that somebody suggested was that maybe they should create a way that we can create our own parameters if they don't want us to change some of the ones that, you know, that are unchangeable, like for example for the radio panels, the transponder, the ADF panels and all that. So this is one of the best things that I think is coming to this plugin right now, because if you guys go here to the extra, you will see now that we do have a thing for custom parameter keywords. Now I know that right now it's not working properly and the configurator is not even available yet, so I don't even know if I would be able to do that right now. But this right here is going to give us the option, like for example, if you have a momentary switch or a toggle switch or whatever. Actually, these are just momentary. These are toggle switches. These are 3 position switches, and momentary switches that are, you know, 2 ways. Rotary switch with many positions. I guess if you do this one, you'll probably be able to assign how many positions it has. And then of course you have an encoder, which is really awesome, and lights and displays. So you'll be able to assign a custom parameter for anything. So for example, right now that I can switch my transponder on the Airfoil Labs Cessna 172, I cannot put a button to say I want to squawk VFR. With this one, I'll be able to select the switch. I'll be able to, for example, just put let's say I name it like that, Airfoil Labs Cessna 172 transponder VFR, and I can confirm it. Then I have to select somewhere where I have a momentary switch or a button. So let's say I had it right there, you know, there the parameter is assigned now. And I think they need to fix these letters in the back because you can't even read them here. But if I go to this now, you see that it has a custom beginning here with HCS 01 blah blah blah, you know, and then whatever I put on it. So now that's going to be a custom command that I can switch. But I'm going to go in and explain all this once the configurator is completely done. Right now I'm not going to go into it, but you know, there's things that you guys need to be aware of. Like you see where it says the name parameter will always have the $sign HCS with numbers, and it says do not change this prefix manually because it is essential for the plugin to distinguish them from the parameters in the HCSCI database. So that's going to be very important that you guys follow these instructions when the time comes, you know, in order for it to function properly, because if you do change the name, then it's not going to work. Okay, so I think I pretty much covered everything now. The thing you had asked me about, if you would like to display on LCD displays or 7-segment displays, the data refs that they failed to provide, I think he was specifically talking about like the vertical speed, the heading, or other stuff like that. You know, those I think I'm gonna have to do on a separate video because that's gonna be a pretty big explanation all on itself. And just a little teaser, I did find a way to do that, you know, like a workaround, because you're right. There is no way on the configurator to assign like what the heading is on an LCD display or a 7 segment display. But I found a way that worked for me, and I'm gonna share that with you. But that'll be on a different video because this one's already long enough as it is. I thought it was gonna be a short video, but you know me, I could never make a short video. So anyways, I will record that one right after this one, and I'll try to post it up pretty soon after as well. All right. All right, guys. Well, that's going to be it for this one. And as I always say, thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.